Okay, so picture this. You're walking down the street, and instead of pulling out your phone to check directions, they just kind of pop up right in front of you, like blended into your view.
That's the whole augmented reality dream, right?
Orion. All right, so before we go full sci-fi future here, break it down for me.
Right.
What exactly is Orion? We're lucky enough to have some insider info on this thing, and let me tell you, it's not just some Google Glass situation.
Oh, no, not even close. I mean, for starters, each pair of these glasses, they cost $10,000 to make. $10,000.
$10,000 each?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's partly because the technology is so cutting edge, but also this is Meta's baby, an internal prototype.
So they're keeping it under wraps for now. Why all the secrecy? Why not release a limited run? Charge a fortune for them. I'm sure people would line up.
Meta's always been ambitious, right? But they're also pretty strategic about how they roll things out. Keeping Orion in-house means they have complete control. They can experiment, they can make changes as they go, and really fine-tune their vision before they release it to the world.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess. But still, $10,000.
Well, they're lighter than you'd think, for one thing. Only 98 grams. And it can generate these, crazy, realistic, full-color holograms. And it responds to your movements, almost like it's reading your mind.
Okay, hold on. I need to stop you right there. Let's unpack that a little bit, because now we're getting into some serious sci-fi territory.
Right. So the holograms, they're not just some blurry projections. We're talking crisp, bright images way beyond anything we've seen in AR so far. And to do that, Meta's using this combo of microprojectors and micro-LEDs for the display.
But there was this other term I keep seeing in the research, waveguide. Something about a silicon carbide waveguide.
Ah, yes, the waveguide. That's crucial. Think of it like a specialized pipeline that channels the light from the display straight into your eye. And they're using silicon carbide because it's amazing at transmitting light with incredible accuracy. It's how you get those really seamless ghost-free images.
So it's not just about the holograms themselves, it's about making them look like they're actually part of your surrounding.
Exactly. It's all about that immersive feeling, that sense that the digital and the real are totally blending together. And to achieve that, you need that waveguide technology.
Okay, so we've covered the holograms. But it sounds like there's a lot more to it than just visuals. I keep hearing about all this custom silicon. What's the deal with that?
Oh, yeah, that's another big piece of the puzzle. Meta's designed, over 10 custom silicon chips just for Orion. And that's a really big deal because it means they can pack a ton of processing power into this tiny space while still keeping the battery life manageable.
So basically, they're pulling out all the stops to make Orion as powerful as possible without sacrificing portability.
Exactly. And then on top of all that, you've got cameras constantly scanning your environment, feeding information to the AI. And get this, neural wristbands that can pick up on the tiniest hand gestures.
Wait, neural wristbands? What are we talking, like thought control here?
Well, not quite mind reading, but close. The idea is that you can interact with the AR world just by moving your hands really naturally, really intuitively. Like you could be scrolling through emails with a flick of your wrist, all while looking at a holographic presentation in front of you.
All right. Now that is some next level stuff.
Yeah.
So they're really trying to create a seamless, intuitive experience where the technology kind of fades into the background.
But here's the thing. Remember how we talked about Meta calling Orion a time machine? It's not just because of the cool hardware. The real game changer here, the thing that makes it feel like a glimpse into the future, is the AI.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my curiosity.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that AI. What makes it so special? And how does it take Orion from cool gadget to something that could actually change our lives?
So at first, Meta thought the holograms would be the big draw with Orion, the thing everyone would freak out about.
Right, the wow factor.
But as they kept developing it, they realized the AI was even more powerful, more transformative, because it's not just about seeing holograms, it's about how you interact with them, with information in general.
So give me an example. How would this AI actually change things in a practical way?
Okay, imagine this. You've lost your keys, right? But instead of tearing your house apart, you just ask your Orion glasses, hey, where'd I put my keys?
Okay.
And the AI, because it's got those cameras constantly scanning and it understands what you're asking, it can actually find your keys and highlight them for you right there in your field of view.
Whoa. That's kind of wild. So it's like having a personal assistant who can actually see what you see and understand what you need.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of contextual AI. It's not just about giving commands. It's about the AI understanding your context, your environment, and proactively offering help.
That's pretty amazing. But now I got to ask about the whole user experience thing. We've heard rumors about some of the early demos. Well, let's just say they didn't sound super comfortable.
Yeah. Those early prototypes, let's just say Meta was definitely more focused on pushing the tech than on making things comfy back then.
So not the most user-friendly experience.
Yeah.
But what about the current version? How does it compare?
Night and day, honestly. The latest prototype has a 2-hour battery life, which is decent enough for actual use. Plus, we've seen these incredible demos of video calls where people are using something called, get this, codec avatars.
Codec avatars. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
So basically, the AI analyzes your face, your expressions, even your voice, and it creates this incredibly realistic digital version of you. It's like hyper-real.
So no more awkward Zoom calls with bad lighting and weird angles?
Right.
That's a game changer right there.
But it's not just video calls. Remember the holograms? They're not just for looks. We've seen people playing holographic Pong using Orion, which, okay, it's a simple game, but still. It shows you the potential for immersive entertainment, interactive experiences. Like, imagine having a holographic world right there in your living room.
Okay, now that does sound pretty awesome. But let's be real for a second. Meta's big goal here, their end game, is to replace our phones entirely. I mean, our phones do a lot.
It's ambitious, for sure. I don't know if anyone can say for sure if they'll pull it off, but one thing's for sure. It's not just about the tech itself. For people to actually ditch their phones, Orion has to be more than just cool. It has to be seamless.
So it has to integrate into our lives in a way that actually makes things easier, not more complicated.
Exactly. Meta has to prove that Orion can handle all the stuff our phones do now, the texting, the social media, the maps, all of it, but without being clunky or distracting. They have to show us that wearing these glasses actually enhances our lives, not just adds another layer of complexity.
And that brings up a whole other set of questions, right? I mean, privacy has to be a major concern here. I mean, if these glasses are always watching, always listening, that's kind of creepy, right?
Yeah, the privacy implications are huge, no doubt about it. Meta's going to have to be really careful there, really transparent about what information Orion's collecting and how they're using it. And they need to give users control over their own data.
Transparency is important, for sure. But it's going to take more than that to get people on board. There's been so much, distrust with tech companies and how they handle our data.
Oh, absolutely. They've got a lot to prove. It's not just about privacy either. What about distraction? Are people going to be walking into things, glued to these holographic worlds? And what about the social aspect? Is it going to be weird wearing these things in public? There are a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's almost like we need to figure out the etiquette of augmented reality before it just takes over. Is it rude to wear these at dinner? Do I have to share my holographic world with you if you ask? It's strange to think about.
And we haven't even touched on the digital divide. I mean, Meta wants Orion to be the future, but what does that future look like for people who can't access it?
It's a lot to unpack. It's exciting, don't get me wrong, but it's also kind of overwhelming. All the possibilities and the potential downsides, too.
Yeah, it's definitely both. But even if Orion itself doesn't become the next iPhone, the thing everyone has to have, it's still pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology. And that's always a good thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like a glimpse into the future, whether we're ready for it or not.
Exactly. And it really makes you think, how is this going to change us? How are we going to use this technology to connect with each other, to learn, to experience the world in new ways? We're just starting to scratch the surface.
That's what's so cool about these deep dives. We get to explore these big questions, these potential futures, and kind of wrap our heads around them together.
Absolutely. It's a conversation that's just getting started.
And we want you, our listeners, to be part of it. Would you wear a device like Orion? What excites you about the future of AR? What scares you? Let us know. Hit us up and let's keep this conversation going. And until next time, stay curious, everyone.